بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين. فإن لم تفعلوا فأذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله، وإن تبتم فلكم رؤوس أموالكم لا تظلمون ولا تظلمون. صدق الله العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nishu Bhagat, Master of Ceremony for today's program. The recitation of Quran was by Qari Dulhan Riza. Thank you so much. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, special guest, key speakers, and all the delegates present here in this seminar on fintech opportunities for banking industries organized by Maldives Capacity Development and Governance Institute in collaboration with Islamic University of Maldives. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa, Vice Chancellor of Islamic University of Maldives, for the welcome remarks. Dr. Zakaria is the former rector of College of Islamic Studies, Male, Maldives. He received his bachelor degree in Islamic Sharia from the Islamic University in Medina in 1983. He successfully completed his master's degree in fiqh from the International Islamic University, Malaysia, and in 2010 he was conferred with PhD in fiqh and Usul fiqh from the same university. He has served as a member of Parliament of Maldives for 13 years and currently he serves as a member of Sharia Advisory Board of several financial institutions. In addition, he has been lecturing on Islamic Sharia and law subjects at tertiary, undergraduate and postgraduate levels. He attended many international conferences and seminars and presented research papers on the areas of his specialization and translated two important books on Islamic banking and finance into the Debihi language, which are widely circulated among the students of IBF. Thank you so much. So the floor is open for Dr. Abraham. Thank you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I begin my remarks with the name of Allah Almighty, most benevolent and merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good morning to all of who are present here. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Maldives Capacity Development and Governance Institute, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our chief guests, special guests, key speakers, and all the delegates present here in this seminar on fintech opportunities for banking industries organized by Maldives Capacity Development and Governance Institute in collaboration with the Islamic University of Maldives. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, for joining us. It is a great privilege to have you all with us today. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest, Honorable Muhammad Sharif, Minister of State for Environment, Climate Change and Technology. Let's honor his presence with a big round of applause. With this, may I take the honor to welcome our special guest, Mr. Ilyas Ahmad, Chief Executive Officer, Communication Authority of Maldives. Distinguished guests are present here at this conference. Please allow me to welcome them. State Minister for Environment, Climate Change and Technology, Ahmad Mujtaba. Controller General CG at Maldives Immigration, Honorable Muhammad Ahmad Hussein Hanafi. Special guest, Mr. Ismail Rashid, Chief Executive Officer of DIRAG. Perhaps he is not present this time. State Bank of India, Deputy Country Manager. Asim Ahmad, President of Privatization and Corporatization Board. Safat Ahmad Zahir, Deputy Minister, Communication, Strategist, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Abdul Ghafoor, former Assistant Governor, Maldives Monetary Authority. Mr. Binod Atreya, MD of BFIN, Banking, Finance and Insurance Institute of Nepal. Fatma Shafiqa, founder of MCDGI. Our special thanks to the digital partner DIRAG, Banking, Finance and Insurance Institute of Nepal and Divehi Insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of our university administration, to welcome you all who are present here to participate in the seminar on fintech opportunities for banking industry organized by the Faculty of Economics and Management of Islamic University of Maldives in collaboration with Maldives Capacity Development and Governance Institute and BFIN, Banking, Finance, Insurance Institute of Nepal. We are indeed very privileged for hosting this seminar here in the Islamic University of Maldives. We are also very delighted that Maldives Capacity Development and Governance Institute, MCDGI, and BFIN are the site of very first in our series of seminars on Islamic banking and finance, which are planning to convene in the coming days ahead. The seminar is concurrently organizing at a time when the Maldives is gearing towards the digitalization in many areas of administrative and financial deliberation. Many of government services are going online, such as collection of zakat payments and electronic driving license, which was introduced very recently. On emphasizing the importance of digital communication and technology, the President of the Maldives, His Excellency Ibrahim Muhammad Saleh, while delivering his fifth presidential address at the opening of the People's Majlis for the year 2023, expressed his vision of making the whole of Maldives be digitalized. In support of this noble vision, we are holding this seminar on fintech opportunities for banking industry to promote broad discussions on matters related to new financial technologies while managing their risks in the banking industry in Maldives. I am very hopeful that this seminar will give us an opportunity to understand the potential of fintech for banking industries and how it affects economic growth, productivity, and welfare. Respect delegations and audience. The rapid advance in the financial technology along with market developments that are transforming the provision of banking services present us with a wide range of new options and opportunities, while at the same time facing challenges of managing the inherent risks like criminal misuse of fintech leading to money laundering, terrorism financing, threats to upholding market integrity and consumer protections. The Islamic finance managers and Sharia personnel are in need of outlining an integrated approach in order to adjust the policy framework in a Sharia compliant manner that could be applicable to Islamic financial instruments and products aiming to grasp the full potential of fintech for the betterment of our society. Dear participants, we are very fortunate to have a team of professionals joining this seminar as keynote speakers and panelists who will share their rich knowledge and contemporary experience while exploring challenges and discussions on various policy approaches in the digitalization of financial services. We also have much to learn from an academic perspective, both on the impact of technology in the financial system and the emerging risks. This is one reason why conferences and seminars such as this one is so important. Through these ongoing efforts, we aim to engage with a wide range of firms and participants in the fintech landscape and to participate actively in the ongoing dialogue about the changes that technology is bringing to the financial system. Having said that, the Faculty of Economics and Management of IUM shouldered huge responsibilities in terms of disseminating much needed knowledge through introducing new academic programs related to economics and banking, such as including blockchain technology in Bachelor of Islamic Banking and Finance courses. I sincerely extend my full support to the faculty while expressing my appreciation for the faculty members for their promising efforts to promote banking and finance education in Maldives. Thank you for each one who contributed for helping us to organize and arrange this seminar to broaden and deepen this important topic and to further our understanding of the impact, implications, and directions of financial technologies. With that, I wish you well, hoping that you will have productive discussions today. Thank you, and wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, sir, for your earnest address. Now, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite our chief guest, Honorable Muhammad Sarif, Minister of the State for Environment, Climate Change and Technology, for the keynote speech. Honorable Minister Sarif was the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Communication, Science and Technology, Maldives, and serves as the senior-most civil servant since January 2019 to May 2021. He served on the governing board of the Maldives Qualification Authority from 2020-2021. Sarif was the Rector Academic Development at the Cyrex College, developing academic quality across its school and programs. So, He was trained by Maldives Qualification Authority for international and program audits and leads the development of the college governance in addition to his coordinating and teaching responsibilities. Honorable Minister Sarif has worked in many international organizations and he has been engaged in academics and research activities. He was the Chief Information Officer at the National Center of Information Technology, Government of Maldives. Mohammad Sarif has been actively involved in the development of electronic government in Maldives since 2003. Been engaged in managing the development of the government network of Maldives, e-government service platform and a number of e-government applications. He was also central to the development, implementation and continued operation of the quality management system at NCIT and subsequent ISO 9001-2008 certification. Mohammad Sarif holds a Master degree of Engineering from the University of Birmingham, UK. Now let's welcome him with a huge round of applause, everyone.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by welcoming the delegation from Nepal. It's wonderful to have met you today, and I hope you have a wonderful couple of days here in Maldives and find good friends here. And let this be the beginning of fintech relationship between our two countries. Controller of Immigration, Vice Chancellor, Chief Executive of CAM, Deputy Governor MMA, and dear distinguished guests and participants, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. It is indeed an honor for me to be speaking with you here today about a topic that is increasingly gaining recognition as a key enabler in the fintech industry: the digital identity solutions. Financial industry has come a long way since the days of paper-based processing and manual transactions. Today, we are living in an era of rapid technological advancements and digital transformation, where financial services are just a tap or a click away. However, with this convenience comes the challenge of ensuring secure and trustworthy financial transactions. This is where digital identity solutions come into play. They offer a secure and efficient and convenient way to verify the identity of individuals and organizations, enabling the creation of digital financial profiles and the delivery of financial services through digital channels. In this keynote, we will explore the challenges faced in introducing fintech in small island developing states like the Maldives. And I assure you, a lot of these challenges are shared with our friends from Nepal, a landlocked country. But a lot of these geographical challenges, though we may have the ocean and you may have the mountains, a lot of these challenges you will find are shared. Let's see how many. We will provide insights into the importance of digital identity in fintech and its potential to drive financial inclusion and economic growth in small island nations. By the end of this presentation, we aim to provide a deeper understanding of the role digital identity can play in unlocking the full potential of fintech in nations like ours. As you heard our Vice Chancellor mention our President, and our government's drive to transform, digital transformation of the whole nation. Today we will look at the fintech part of it. Specifically, what is the role of enabling or bringing digital identity solutions is a key enabler for driving fintech in the Maldives or in small island developing nations. Okay, let me see if my clicker works. Oh, there you go. Sorry, thank you. I got it. The impact of digital identity solutions in fintech is far-reaching, particularly for small island nations like Maldives. These island nations are characterized by limited resources, fragile ecosystems, and vulnerability to external shocks we saw in pandemic, natural disasters, and economic instability. The remoteness of these islands often mean lack of access to financial services and infrastructure, making it a challenge for individuals to participate in the financial sector. Despite these challenges, fintech has the potential to bring financial services to remote and underserved populations in these countries. Just let me check. Yep, here we are, right? With the rise of digital technologies, fintech has the ability to create innovative solutions that cater to the unique needs of these communities. However, introducing fintech in SIDS is not without its challenges. Some of these challenges: internet and technology infrastructure. There is a challenge in making sure internet and technology infrastructure reaches everybody. Limited financial literacy. And of course, limited regulatory framework for fintech companies. I'm sure these sound very familiar. Despite these challenges, fintech has the potential to bring numerous benefits. These include financial inclusion, economic growth, and improved access to financial services for the underserved populations. So how do we go about unlocking these benefits in light of these challenges? This is where digital identity comes to play. What is digital identity? Digital identity refers to the online representation of an individual's identity and personal information. It plays a crucial role in enabling secure and efficient access to financial services and other important transactions, providing a secure way to verify individuals' identity and ensure that sensitive personal information is protected. In the fintech sector, digital identity solutions are becoming increasingly important for a number of reasons. By providing a secure and convenient way to verify identity, digital identity solutions can make it easier for financial institutions to onboard new customers and offer financial services to a wider audience, including underbanked populations who may not have access to traditional forms of identification and find it challenging to keep up with the compliance requirements of KYC in the financial sector. Digital identity solutions also have the potential to increase financial inclusion by providing access to financial services to populations that were previously excluded due to lack of identification or financial infrastructure in these small island communities. In addition, digital identity solutions can also help to mitigate the risk of financial fraud, money laundering, and other criminal activities by providing a more secure and transparent way of verifying identity. This in turn increases trust in the financial system, which in turn supports the growth of the fintech industry. Moreover, digital solutions can help to bridge the gap between small island nations and the rest of the world by connecting them to global financial services. This can be particularly useful for small island communities, and I'm sure this sounds familiar. Communities that are isolated and have limited access to financial services, because with this we can enable them to participate in the global economy, and with that comes new opportunities. But of course, despite these potential benefits, there are always challenges, several challenges associated with introducing digital identity in fintech. We've got to find and make sure that everyone has access to technology. So technology, limited access to technology infrastructure, the protection of privacy, and making sure security is addressed. So privacy and security concerns. And of course, the lack of standardization. Currently, there is no real international standard for this. So lack of standardization and interoperability between different identification systems. Despite the potential benefits, right, we've seen there are challenges. So with these challenges, how do we go about serving the population? How do we go about building the fintech industry? We think digital identity can be the key. Of course, there are challenges, right? But here in the Maldives, we are getting ready to launch the national digital identity with the aim to unlock the full potential of digital. The key, in fact, your key to a digital Maldives. In 2012, this is where the journey started. In 2012, the National Center for Information Technology, NCIT, introduced the EFAS, a single sign-on for electronic public services across the government. Over the past 10 years, this electronic identity has served over 139,000 individuals, with over 6 million logins to access over 400 electronic services from various different public agencies, including the immigration. We are very proud to be partnered with immigration here. On the 21st of February 2022, just last year, President Ibrahim Mohammed Saleh, upon recommendation from his cabinet, decided to establish a national digital identity platform and issue a national digital identity card to every resident. The National Center for Information Technology, NCIT, was tasked with developing this platform and issuing this digital credential. And this is not just for the citizens, this is for everybody. And with our partnership with immigration, it happens before you actually come to Maldives. Your visa, at the application stage of your visas to Maldives. This platform, of course, builds on the success of EFAS. It is the evolution of EFAS, which was introduced 10 years ago, and aims to provide a secure, efficient, and convenient way to identify every resident in the Maldives. Of course, how do we go about doing this? So we've borrowed from the best. The digital platform model. I'm sure you've heard of the digital platform model. It is unmistakably the most successful business model today. from Apple, Google to Airbnb and Amazon. And here in Maldives, from eBay, Moli and Tokuri by our Maldives Post, all use this model to leverage network effects, both indirect and direct network effects for value creation. The National Digital Identity Platform is based on the platform business model. It brings together 4 different customers. One, of course, the identity subject, you and me. We want to identify ourselves in person and online using a digital identity. Right? So at the top, you see the identity subjects. Then we have the identity providers. Who provides the identity? So in the case of Maldives, we have the Department of National Registration who provides the identity for the citizens. We have the Ministry of Economic Development who provides the identity of expatriate workers in the Maldives. And we have the Maldives Immigration who provides the identity of long-term visa holders in Maldives. So anybody who is not a tourist are identified by these authoritative sources. These authorities, they are the identity providers. Now, but we can imagine this platform to grow and have other identity providers. Maybe banks could be an identity provider as well. And then, of course, we have personal information providers. You have the National Payroll Register, provides our payroll information if you work in the public sector. You have the Pensions Office who provides information about our pensions. We have our National Health Insurance who provides information about our health. We have MMA who we are working to bring on board to provide our credit information. What is my credit score? So these personal information providers are connected. And increasingly every day we are connecting more personal information providers. And of course, we have the digital service providers, the app developers, the companies like the immigration, again I will take as an example, they are both an identity provider, but they are also a recipient of the digital identity service because they provide online services for visa application. Right? So this platform lives on creating value for each of these customers. And the value of the platform itself brings security, collaboration, and opportunity. So as identity providers grow, more people can be identified. As more people can be identified, more identity subjects can register into this platform. So this is called an indirect effect. But why would an identity subject want to use EFAS or the digital identity? Because there are services behind it. Why would somebody want to develop a service on this? Because there is an identity service provider and there is the identity subject. Right? And because there is other personal information connected with it. Because services is not just about identity. Digital identity is who you are, not just what is your first name and last name and your birth, but are you the chief executive of something? What is your credit rating? Do you own this piece of land? Do you have a mortgage? All of this is part of your digital identity. We are going to put behind us the days of the PVC card when identity was just your permanent address, date of birth, and your full name. Because in the digital world, your identity is all the data about your life. And people who want to provide you service, how do they do that now when they want to provide? They ask you for an identity, a PVC card, they just fill the first two blobs of information. Rest you have to provide yourself and then give it to them. But in the digital world, all of these already are there, and they are in authoritative sources. You don't have to provide by yourself, and then the service provider has to call up the authoritative sources and confirm. You can use your digital identity to provide authoritative information directly with your consent to the service provider. And this is what we are trying to bring. And with that, I would like to invite you to join us in an early release preview. So those of you who are registered in one of these three registers, please use the QR code and send us a request. Unfortunately, our friends from Nepal, probably not. But anybody else, you are welcome. By Monday, we will be sending you invitations to join our pre-release version. And inshallah, in March, we will be releasing the official National Digital Identity Card. And thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. Now we are about to begin with our first session. It is a keynote presentation on the role of information technology in the fintech innovation by Mr. Ilyas Ahmed, CEO, the Communication Authority of Maldives. He has been with CAM since 2002, where he was involved heavily in many development initiatives of the country, including the liberation, the Maldives telecommunications sector. More recently, he has been instrumental in the development and implementation of the National Broadband Policy of the Maldives 2014-2018. May I request Mr. Ilyas Ahmed to deliver his speech? Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning. First of all, let me thank the organizers, MCDGI, the Islamic University of Maldives, and the partners, BFIN and Diragu, for providing me with this opportunity to address you on the topic of the role of ICTs in fintech innovation. As you know, in the last couple of years, many things have changed, many new developments have come. And all of these developments and advancements have made a very big impact on how we operate and how we live. But some of these technologies or some of these developments have been outstanding in providing a very dynamic and impactful results in how we live and operate. So in my short talk with you today, I'm going to look at how the information and communication technology has changed the financial and banking sector in particular. Some of the things that I'll be talking to you this morning perhaps would be a repeat of what my colleague Mr. Sharif has introduced to you, because what Mr. Sharif was talking about just now was the opportunities there in the financial and banking sector with one of the facilitating technologies or requirements
for the development, which is the digital identity system. And in his speech, he is introduced to us what's in the plan, what's going to come, and what opportunities that technology or that initiative itself will present. So with that talk, let me move on to my talk today. I will start with a little bit of history, what has happened in the last couple of years, maybe last 50 years, what has happened more recently, and what's here with us right now. Okay, what's this you see in front of you now? Yes, I think most of the colleagues here would identify it. It's a bank ledger or a book of a bank. Of course, my intention here is not to take a history lesson with you, but I think it would be interesting to see how things have changed. Okay, in the early days of banking, we didn't have computers. Most of the banks were using big log books and ledgers like this. We were able to operate those days as well, but there were limitations, and many things were needed to bring banking and financing to the next level. Okay, let's move on. Oops. Okay, what you see now is an early personal computer which the banks and our offices used in the early 80s, in this period. This use of information technology provided a lot of ease and a lot of automation to the then financial and banking services that we were using. Of course, the banking and finance sectors were not the only areas where information technology was being deployed. All other fronts of life were also starting to use computers to leverage whatever business or involvement that they were in. So, okay, with the deployment of computers in the banking and offices, we could do things that we were not able to do easily earlier. If you look at one of our offices those days, what we used to do with paper and books, we could do with computers and spreadsheets. How many of you remember something called Lotus 123? No one? Okay, some do. So that's one of the early, or perhaps the early common deployment of spreadsheets. And since then, there have been many other spreadsheets like what we use now, the Microsoft Excel and other softwares. But those days, Lotus 123 was a very big aid to most of us working in the finances and banking industries as well. So what did this particular program provide us? It enabled us to get free from the books and do many calculations and things without the use of calculators and automate things. So with this use of computers and technologies, we were able to do many things that we were not able to do before that. But still, let's go back and think at what things we were not able to do even those days with the use of computers like this. Okay, I'll be asking many questions to you, please excuse me. So my next question is, how many of you remember the concept of bank branches? Like you have a bank account with one particular bank, but this information itself is not enough for you to do your banking needs. If you have to do some banking, you will have to know in which particular branch of the bank your account is in. So unless you know what particular branch you, at least in those days, you were not able to do much. And why do you think is the reason why the branch information is so important then, instead of just the bank name? Well, the branches or different distributed offices of a company, those days, even though they were using computers like this, they were working as standalone operations or standalone offices, meaning that whatever information is in one of those branches will not be readily available in real time to the main office or other branches. So that's why if you want to do your banking those days, you have to go to the branch that you have your account in. So this is some of the limitations that we had those days, even though we have deployed information technology and computers to develop the banking and financial services then. But look what has happened now. So now all the banking services or all the other services are everywhere and interconnected. So now, like I said, we don't associate our bank branches with our bank service. You just go anywhere, it is convenient for you, and then you'll be able to do what you want. So what has enabled this big change from the days that I was talking to you earlier? What was the big impact maker? The internet, yes, and in general, the communications part of the fintech technology. So with the communications component coming in, we could interconnect those bank branches and district offices and other places. And so in real time, you could check whatever information there is in one particular branch or the main office or any other services to which the service is interconnected to. So this is facilitated only because of the communication technologies interconnecting the services. And I think this is one of the most important developments to the banking and financing sector as well, to leverage the use of ICTs to reach out services to people in remote islands, like in countries in Maldives as well as in Nepal. So with technology, you could now reach to people who were not able to come or access to the branches or offices in the capital and other places where technology and services were more developed. So with the use of interconnection and communication technology, many opportunities came in, and different services were rolled out making use of these technologies. Let me take you to one other example again, how this has changed since recently. I used to work some time back in the airports sector of the Maldives. So those days we had like 4 airports distributed across the Maldives. And when payday comes those days, excuse me, we had to carry big briefcases of cash to provide salaries to the people in the airports. And why I remember this is because I was one of the people who carried the pay cash in big suitcases on a flight when they distribute the money. But imagine how you do this now. You don't have to carry big cash boxes. Everything is interconnected. Once the payrolls and things are provided in the main offices or central departments, the salaries can be provided through electronic means. So this is just one simple example of how technology could provide developments and solutions to big problems of those days. So I can keep on talking and sharing stories like this, but I don't think I have the liberty of time with me. So let's move on. So for the innovation in the fintech and banking space, what do we really need? There are some key ingredients that we need to the development of the sector. I'll be talking about a few of those here, and there'll be still many other things that would be required, but some of the important things that I think of, I try to list here. The first one is, of course, we need the financial and banking systems, the financial facilities, the bank accounts, everything. You need to have these things in place for us to have innovations around the fintech. And of course, we need the information technologies, like I was telling, the standalone information technologies like computers, apps, software, like that. And very importantly, we need the ICTs, or the communications component of technology. Like Mr. Sharif was saying, we need to roll out accessible technologies to each and everyone, so that technology is at the finger and the hands of each and every citizens of us. So we need technology, and it's not that we need just technology, it has to be affordable. I know pricing is something that's very sensitive, and it can be the topic of another lecture like this, because especially for small countries like Maldives, where we do not have the benefit of big economies of scale, our prices are not the same as the prices of some of the countries in this region. But nevertheless, we do have reasonably good infrastructure and services, so that we could access banking and other services using these. And having the services, again, is not enough. We need the services with reliable quality and guarantees that it will work each and every time. We need to rely on it. We also need a few other things, and I've listed two of those, but at this point I haven't named them. I've called Y, 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 and Z, Z, Z. But these two ingredients are also absolutely necessary for us to leverage on financial technologies and keep innovating. So let's have a look at what these unnamed requirements are. Okay, the first one is the enabling frameworks. It's good to have the previous three ingredients that I mentioned to you: the banking systems, the information technologies, the communication technologies. But without the enabling frameworks, these technologies will not bring much benefits to you. Things like what Mr. Sharif was telling us about, the policy frameworks, the initiatives like the digital identities. Those things have to be in place in a correct way for us to leverage on the technology part of it. We need the relevant laws and regulations, the legal framework. Again, security is utmost important. We need to have all the security measures so that the best use of the technologies can be deployed. But again, having this itself is not enough. we need a way to facilitate and implement it. Very often, our countries have very good laws and very good frameworks in place, but the deployment part of it, the real use case scenario or the facilitation of it is lacking. So unless these laws and the policies are put into working, there's not much point in just having these as good documents. So it's very important that we leverage these as well, and then try and implement it so that people could really benefit from these frameworks as well. So let me move on to the final part or the final ingredient that we need, which is the awareness. Again, let me stress to you, you can have the state-of-the-art technologies and laws and innovations and everything in place. But unless we make the potential users aware of what is there, then these are just good pieces of technology sitting there. The real benefits only comes when you make people aware of what is there and then trying to get benefit out of it. Sometimes even very little things exist, but some of us are not aware that these do really exist. Let me share again some personal experience that I had. As all of you, I also use bank cards and then use it to do online shopping, physical shopping, and many other things. So what happened to me one day was when I went to a shop and tried to pay using my Visa card, the card didn't work. So as usual, I just tried to clean the chip and try again, still didn't work. So I gave up and then used the old-fashioned way of cash and then paid what I bought. Then again, the next day I went to an ATM to take some cash. Same thing happened. My card didn't work. So I realized that the chip part of my card perhaps got faulty. So I decided that I will go to the bank and try and fix it. But having many things to do in my official times, and also, to be honest, being a bit lazy, I was not able to go to the bank for 2-3 weeks. But at the same time, I realized that I could still use this bank card of mine to do online payments. And that's why I realized that it's not the card that is, it's not my account that went faulty, it's the chip in the card. So I was living like this. I could do the online transactions using this card. And then to the point of the story. I was looking at my banking app and then realized that there's one tab in the very first, the left side tab of my banking app. It was something new, but that one day I just tried to explore what it is. And this is the wallet part of the banking app that I use. And then I realized that it has all the cards and it has the facilities to use my card for scan to pay and also tap to pay, just as. So I thought of checking this, and to my surprise, this card which I had, the physical card with a faulty chip, I could use this using this technology to tap just like a physical card in shops, and then I could use my chip faulty card using these technologies, and I don't need to get a new card unless I want it for some other reason. So the point that I'm trying to share is technology exists with us, but unless you are aware of what you could do with very simple things, this is just good technology sitting in your pocket or in an office. So the point is, you need awareness. We need to tell people this technology exists. Look, this is very easy to use. It's just one example I shared with you. And using these existing technologies, many, many things can be used, can be done, which you could do without that. How am I doing in time? The scheduled time, I think, is up to 10, right? But can I take another 5 minutes? Okay, another example of awareness is like, again, let me take you back to the early 2010s period. These are the days when in our islands we didn't have the broadband services and fixed line telephones as we have right now. So when we travel from the Communications Authority, we travel to islands sometimes on awareness and other things. From time to time, we come across this requirement saying that we need telephone lines in our islands and shops so that we could use the point of sale terminals and cash cards to do payments. But the reality of those days is internet was not spread like what it is now, and the fixed line telephones were not available. But we could demonstrate even those days that the cell phone technologies existing in those islands could be used with a POS machine, and just like having a fixed line, it could be used to do online card payments. And sometimes when we have the telecom fairs, which this is a series of fairs that we had in the islands those days, and hopefully we'll have one of these fairs this year as well. So we used to demonstrate with the banks that even though you don't have the fixed wired technologies in the islands, with mobile technologies, you could still use POS terminals just like you would have fixed lines in the islands. So technology exists, the facilities exist, but you need awareness and demonstrations to show that technology can do these things. You need to handhold people and show them what it is. And then even with existing technologies, many things can be done. Next, please. So, as you can see, the technology part or the ICTs can have a big impact on the development of a country. And if you look at what technology can do to the financial sector, there's a huge correlation between the development of ICTs and the development of financing services. There are many studies done around the world to prove this, and I'm just referring to you with one of the studies done in 2019 in the Middle East, which said that a 1% increase in fixed broadband leads to about 2% increase in financial development. Meaning that if ICT services are widened, it will have a much bigger impact on the country's other development aspects as well. So with that, I would like to conclude here by making just one more comment. So you have seen that what technology can do to bring services that are not reachable to the general public. The banking services, the financial services, all these can be delivered to people who were not able to access it before. And it can do many, many things for the citizens and companies. But the technology still will not be able to do some things. You will have the technologies, but you need one other thing for you to do online transactions and shopping and many other things. That is, you need cash and money in your bank accounts. This, sadly, the technology providers can't do. You have to work yourselves and earn your money. But once you have the money, the technology and financial services are there, then we can all make good use of it. But you have to work yourself and get the money. So for that, we cannot help, sadly. But once you do, we can ensure that technology and financial services are there so that you could do innovative things to make life and businesses better. Thank you very much, and hope you've learned something about the insights of what ICTs can do for the fintech side of the business. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful session. Now, I'd like to call upon our special guest, Mohammad Ahmed Hussain Hanafi, Controller General at Maldives Immigration, for his views.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Chief guest of this ceremony, State Minister of Environment and Climate Change Technology, Muhammad Sharif, Vice Chancellor of Islamic University, my Ustaz, Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa, founder of Maldives Capacity Development Governance Institute, Ms. Fatima Shafiqa, thank you for inviting me for this wonderful event. It's an honor. Special guest, Mr. Ilyas Ahmad, CEO of Communication Authority of Maldives. And ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Unfortunately, I don't have any speech prepared, but I'm just going to share some of things I heard from this wonderful event and my experience through immigration on this matter. What does Maldives immigration do? Of course, when we ask this question, everybody will be just wondering. We just stamp passports. That is the first thing which will come to everybody's mind, because very few people know what we really do. When we talk about something, today's subject is about financial matters. From an immigration perspective, what we really do is we make sure the financial opportunities stays as opportunities in the Maldives by preventing illicit travelers from entering to the country. It is a very difficult task because since our country relies on tourism and the time for processing a passenger for immigration is very little. As you are aware that you have seen the airport, how the long queues are affecting us. And the time we can give up each passenger to process at the counter is very less. The maximum time we could give a passenger for processing is 1 minute. If we exceed this limit, we are going to have chaos. We did face, when the COVID happened, Health Protection Agency came with a very big, kind of form. And from 1 minute, it became 6 minutes. And it was chaos. So if these kind of chaos starts happening, you won't have these financial opportunities or any opportunities in the Maldives. So we make sure all kinds of opportunities are intact and available in the country. And to do so, as State Minister Sharif has mentioned, we rely on technology. We rely on technology. But only relying on technology doesn't really does the work. We should rely on technology in the same time we should work together. We could have the best system in the world, but if we don't collaborate or cooperate, we won't make use of anything. So as I always mention in all the functions, in border security or anything, but from a border security perspective, Maldives immigration is just a piece of a puzzle. So in order to complete the puzzle, we have to coordinate and collaborate with the stakeholders. To do so, we have to talk to each other. We have to communicate to each other. We have to understand each other. And Alhamdulillah, now, when the COVID happened, I told you like 6 minutes. But after talking to each other and listening to each other, listening to the stakeholders, and tailoring the system based on the requirements of the stakeholders, we can process a passenger within 45 seconds. The main problem with our society is that, for an example, when we tailor a suit, we just tailor the suit. After making the suit, you take the measurements. When this happens, it doesn't fit. It goes same ways for the systems. You do the system without getting what is the requirements from the stakeholders, and in the implementation stage, it fails because you don't know what everybody's needs and requirements are. Inshallah, in this government administration, in our Ibrahim Muhammad Saleh, our president's administration, we are trying to change the perspective of thinking of everybody. As I have mentioned, we are very forward thinking into this tourism. So does the law enforcement agencies. We have to change the mentality of all the law enforcement agencies, of course, without compromising security. I'm trying to change the way and the perspective of how immigration officers think. I call it the wing method, or in a wing way. When a bird flies, if a bird just use one wing, they can't go forward. So imagine one wing is the security, and then the second wing, left and right, one security and the second one is convenience. So when you have a balance, you go forward. But typically, when traditionally thinking in immigration or any law enforcement, we have been thinking only from the security perspective. When we think on that manner, it's very difficult to succeed in this era. So we are trying to change it. We have launched several stuff, and I could proudly say that Maldives immigration, we have initiated something called border miles. We give points for people who cross our borders. And Alhamdulillah, now we have more than 1 million members across all over the world. Our site traffic is around 30 million hits per month. 30 million hits we get for our immigration site per month. And from that, we have 1 million members. That's a very great milestone we have achieved together, not alone, together. I'm not going to make my speech very long, but I just wanted to highlight this. And I think regarding the financial opportunities and any tourism opportunities, the Maldives is really going forward. Very recently, I have visited Sri Lanka and Colombo. I think we should be thankful for what we are doing at the moment. After COVID, Alhamdulillah, we have recovered and we are going towards new milestones. And to do so, I think we have to enhance once again the collaborative effort. Some people say that we have a cooperation, but I believe cooperation alone is not enough. You have to have a collaborative effort. Cooperation and collaboration is totally different. So if we do in this manner, I think inshallah we will succeed. And let me conclude my speech. And once again, thank you for having me here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hanifi. Moving forward, we do have next presentation on Islamic FinTech by Mr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan, founder and CEO at ADL Advisory, AAO IFI Master Trainer, Consultant and member of working groups, SC Malaysia Registered Sirha Advisor, CSAA, CIFE, MSc, INCEIF. He is a leading expert in the field of Islamic finance with a diverse skill set that sets him apart. With certification from AAOIFI in Bahrain as a CSAA and MSc in Islamic finance from INCEIF and Mufti in Sirha, Yusuf brings a unique blend of Sirha knowledge and technology savvy to the table. As a registered Sirha advisor to the Securities Commission of Malaysia and a CIFE from Ethica in Dubai, Yusuf is a trusted voice in the industry. Yusuf's contribution to the Islamic finance industry has been recognized with the BAFF 2023 award. Yusuf's reputation as a sought-after speaker and Sariha advisor has earned him invitation to speak at high-profile events in the countries. As a public prolific researcher, Yusuf has published several insightful reports on Islamic finance, including the widely acclaimed Responsible Finance, Ethical and Islamic Finance, Meeting the Global Agenda, which he co-authored with Tan Sri Dr. Jetty, former Governor of Central Bank of Malaysia. I request Mr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan to join us virtually. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, I hear you.
Welcome. Full screen.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, please continue. Start conversation. Okay, you can start.
Okay, sure. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Muhammadin Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. My name is Yusuf Sultan. I'm joining you from Malaysia. Thank you for kindly introducing me. In my session today, I will be covering about Islamic fintech. I congratulate all the honorable guests and the organizers for organizing this event, and all those who are participating in this event today, physically or online. I hope my screen is visible. Can you please confirm?
Yes, it's visible.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for confirmation. So in this session today, I will briefly try to touch on a few things about Islamic fintech to give an overall overview of what Islamic fintech is all about, and how is the market, and how is the potential, and some regulatory aspects from Malaysia's experience and some other countries' experience, inshallah. My relevance with Islamic fintech is I come with an experience of both Sharia and technology. This is number one. And secondly, I had an opportunity to work with ITIS, one of the pioneer Islamic fintech group. They started based in Singapore, and then they expanded to Malaysia, Indonesia, and to other countries. And that gave me an exposure of Islamic fintech hands-on, because I was also heading at some point operations other than Sharia, also governance, and I had the opportunity to work with regulators like Securities Commission Malaysia. And so that is my relevance on with the topic. And I had the opportunity to deliver talks on Islamic fintech in various countries on various avenues, from students to practitioners to professionals to even regulators, alhamdulillah. So in this session, as I mentioned, I will try to summarize few aspects. Firstly, I know there are several other sessions today on fintech, so I will not be going much deeper into it. I just wanted to give an overview that when we talk about fintech, it's basically a number of services that are basically financial services delivered through technology. Yes, there are some differences of opinions. Like when we talk about fintech, should we only include those other outside the formal banking services, or should we also include the technological advancements or use that are inside a banking framework? So we will find some using fintech, Islamic fintech or fintech, and they mean startups or companies that are providing financial services outside the scope of traditional banking or financial service industry. For example, I startup, maybe they have background in some finance, and then they are providing those through technology, or vice versa. They have capability and technology, they have software platform or web platform, and they're providing maybe one of the many segments of financial services. There is also a similar terminology known as tech field, which is not so much used today, but at some point of time before COVID, it was quite a popular terminology. What they meant is when big tech companies who have basically large number of user base, data, etc., and then they come up with some financial services. The examples like, let's say, Alipay in China. Then we know Google, Facebook, uh, and similarly other such big technology companies where their main business is something else, but they have technology capacity. They have a large user base, and then they are just connecting some of the financial services within their ecosystem. So anyway, either it's a fintech or tech fin, we mean the same. It's basically providing some of the financial services through technology. And when we talk about Islamic fintech, there are a number of services that can be offered through Islamic through the technology, and we'll see basically some of the technologies like artificial intelligence, big data analytics are used for robo advisory. Some of the machine-based or machine learning-based financial advisory, for example. Then we also see other technologies like peer-to-peer finance. Even now, open banking is getting popularity, digital banking, virtual banking, and similarly, blockchain is also having some good credibility in the space. A lot of solutions are coming up now. We are also talking about metaverse. Initially, it was only Bitcoin and some cryptocurrencies, but now it is getting bigger. Cybersecurity is a concern when we are talking about technology, and definitely when we talk about technology, it's all in the cloud. So that's an overall summary. But if you look at this landscape, this is basically prepared by Red Money Group in their IFN FinTech, which they update regularly. It was the slide that I have. It was last updated at the end of 2022. If you look at the different categories that they have, what they do is basically they collect or they gather the Islamic fintech platforms throughout the globe and put it in one slide, one big landscape platform. And also in their website, we can also filter out based on the country, based on the category. And further, we can go to the website of each of the platforms and have some description, etc. So this is like an overall overview of the entire fintech landscape, Islamic fintech landscape. So if we look at the categories, there is alternative finance, then there is challenger banking, trading and investment, P2P finance, blockchain and cryptocurrencies, crowdfunding, then various enablers or technology companies, data and analytics, Taka Tech or Takaful Tech, personal finance management, and then payment remittance or FX. So if you see a bulk of the categories are basically either alternative finance or crowdfunding or trading and investment or P2P finance. So in trading and investment, usually it is also known as robo-advisory. I will discuss a bit further, inshallah, later on. But other than that, this P2P finance, alternative finance, and then crowdfunding, more or less, these are all crowdfunding, under the umbrella of crowdfunding, where the crowd has the opportunity either to invest in a small token or a big token based on the jurisdiction, based on the type of the operator, based on the type of the platform, and they come together to invest into projects or maybe some donations, or maybe invest into companies in exchange of equity, also known as equity crowdfunding platform, or just lending loans, financing without equity, also known as P2P finance. Other than that, what we see is trading and investment that I mentioned as also um, known as robo advisory in some areas or similar to that. So we will see some of the platform Wahid and others very well known in this capacity. Then another one is blockchain and cryptocurrency. So there are a number of blockchain platform, either they in totality or in partial, maybe in one segment or so, they announce that they will be doing Islamic fintech. For example, Algorand. Algorand is a blockchain platform. They have their own blockchain, and they have committed through their partner like IBF based in Indonesia to come up with Islamic metaverse and various other things. Just getting a lot of traction recently. Then there are a few others as well, Wisaq as well here, Wakaful as well. Many of those may not have gained much traction yet. So being listed here is just an indication that they have committed or they have announced or they proclaim that they are doing Islamic, but some of those or many of those maybe we will see still not operational or not having so much traction yet. In terms of challenger banking, it's also we can call like digital banking, and so we'll see like Risk, for example, based in UK, very well known recently. Still, they are trying to get bigger. Kestrel also, I believe, in UK. Algebra, most probably from Singapore. Insha is one of the earlier ones, but again, as I mentioned, some of those may not have had much traction yet. Nama is another one. So these are all basically digital bank or the challenger banking, whatever we call it, without branches, without having paper-based operations. Then we have robo-advisor. So robo-advisor and trading and management has some overlaps. But if we take robo-advisor as a separate category, then you can see here Algebra. I think my slide, the icons are quite smaller if you're looking at from projector, but I'm trying to explain. Later on, inshallah, whoever is interested, you can go to ifnfintech.com and see further details. So some of those, for example, Algebra, they started from Singapore, and then they also started Islamic robo-advisory. And what they do in robo-advisory is basically whenever someone wants to register with the platform, they have to answer a few questions based on like chatbot. And based on those answers, the platform creates a persona, a profile of that person, the risk profile, what should be the portfolio, like should he have more equity and less fixed income instrument, or more fixed income instrument and less equity, etc. So based on that, they will create a portfolio and suggest that portfolio for investment to the user. If the user agrees, then it will proceed for investment. So that's basically, and one of the most popular in this area is Wahid Invest. And recently, if you are following the news internationally, Wahid has also introduced a physical office. It was all online, all digital. Only recently they started a physical office in the UK, so that there is more trust and people can come and see the people behind. And then data and analytics. These are all basically providing data and analytics to all types of fintech. In fact, also for traditional banking and financial services, but they're also extending the same to Islamic fintech, and this is why their list is here. So again, some of the things mentioned here, some of the companies mentioned here are not 100% providing Islamic fintech. They are maybe doing dual system. So they are having a conventional system and also having an Islamic system. Just like when it comes to banking, we see conventional banking having an Islamic window, something like that. So in Takatek, we are having also a few which basically announce to provide Islamic takaful as well, insurance as well. When it comes to personal finance management, we'll see some providers, for example, My Wasia provides the will writing services or inheritance services digitally online through Islamic fintech. So, and then when it comes to payment and remittance and foreign currency exchange, we'll see a lot of provider who are basically either facilitating payment. So, for example, if I want to just mention one, there is one called Pay Halal based in Malaysia, or this one, Pay Halal, which is based in Malaysia, and they are doing some interesting thing. It is like a PayPal where it works like a payment gateway, but you can once someone tries to pay through Pay Halal, it has a list of uh, payment inventory codes. So based on that, it will decide either it is halal and it should proceed or not. So that is something that Pay Halal has does. So for example, if someone has a bottle of wine in his cart, then the payment will not proceed, and it will ask the person to remove that from the cart, and only then it will be able to proceed. So they are trying to do that. So that's something innovative they have done. So it's basically a list of providers in Islamic fintech space. It's not a comprehensive list. There could be many others, but in general, it gives us a glimpse of the diversity of this sector and a lot of potential that we see in the market. If you look from Malaysia's perspective, Malaysia has a lot of fintech in general, and out of those, we have a few Islamic fintech, not many. Many others are doing fintech, but not necessarily Islamic fintech. Now the list has quite grown. This was last year when I took, but the list has quite grown, and Malaysia has, I think, around 40 or 42 Islamic fintech providers now. If you look at the landscape that Malaysia has, this is basically to get some aspiration from Malaysia's market as one of the leading Islamic finance market. So we can see overall in terms of fintech, payment has a bigger part of the pie, and then lending is another one. E-wallet is something that has gained a lot of popularity. And then there is InsurTech, WealthTech also known as robo-advisor or different trading and investment platforms. There's also blockchain and cryptocurrency. Malaysia, the Securities Commission Malaysia has given licenses to some of the cryptocurrency exchanges and also some cryptocurrencies. So there are other types of fintech as well. I want to show up, give just 1 or 2 minutes, maybe some more glance on Malaysia's market in Islamic, overall fintech. So this is from Malaysia's fintech report 2022. They are predicting that digital payment will be further growing, and growth of digital payments mean that there is a huge potential for fintech to grow in general. And definitely, if it's a halal and Islamic Muslim population market, then of course there is a huge potential for Islamic fintech as well. If we look at some of the key players of Islamic fintech in Malaysia, it includes a few. I mentioned about Pay Halal and I mentioned about Ethis as well. So you can see these are already leading, and there are many others. I just want to conclude this part with 2 slides. This is from Bank Negara Malaysia's 5-year plan for digitizing the financial services sector in Malaysia. So we can see in this 5-year plan, they have they have put fintech or digitization of financial services into, you can see the future-proof key digital infrastructure, including data, payment, blah, blah, and also cyber security, which is very important for overall fintech sector. So they have put that in their 5-year plan. And similarly, Securities Commission Malaysia, in their 5-year capital market master plan, also mentions embracing the digital age. So here they will be doing the RegTech, which is basically regulatory technology, which assists the regulators to have proper regulation on various market players. So this is something very promising coming from the top, that they are having that strategy from the top. Now, let's go into some of the fintech that we have seen, Islamic fintech that we have seen in the map. I will just give a glimpse of few, and we'll try to wrap up, inshallah, within the time. So one of the big part of the pie when it comes to the overall Islamic fintech landscape, as I was mentioning last time, is crowdfunding. So either it is mentioned as alternative finance or P2P financing or crowdfunding. It almost means the same, of course, in different application. Now, crowdfunding is basically where one party comes with the fund. Let me go to this. Where one party comes with the fund, we can call them funders, and then there is another party who has the project or who is receiving the fund. And the entire process is done or completed through a platform which is known as crowdfunding platform. In Malaysia, UK, Singapore, Indonesia, and many other countries, there is already regulation for crowdfunding platforms. There are requirements for operators. They must have some capital. They must have meet some requirements, blah blah blah. And then there is also requirement for the project initiator, or also known as issuer, to perform due diligence, to check their background, to ensure that the project is viable and all those things. There's also requirement on the funders. If they are retail funders or retail investors, they will have some annual limit. So basically, the regulations are looking into several key aspects of crowdfunding to ensure that the investors are protected and the investments are genuine. When it comes to the different types, I already mentioned few types. So there is some charity types of crowdfunding. Globally, Launch Good is one of the well-known donation-based crowdfunding. In Malaysia, there is Global Sadaqah. In Indonesia, there is Kitabisa. All are basically charity-based. There are also some reward-based. Reward-based crowdfunding denotes that maybe I'm giving as charity, but I will have something in return, maybe just a token, or maybe one of the many products that the production produces. Equity crowdfunding, I already mentioned, where I get some equity in exchange of the funds that I invest. And P2B crowdfunding is basically some lending and borrowing relationship. But if you want to do in Islamic, then we may follow the different modes of financing that the banks do. For example, Murabaha, Musharaka, etc. So in Malaysia, Indonesia, and other countries that I have mentioned, in most countries, there are already regulations for equity crowdfunding and also P2P crowdfunding. In some countries, they only have for P2P crowdfunding. Equity crowdfunding, they don't have yet. So it depends on the different jurisdictions, how they want to start. Some want to start more conservatively. Some want to start, make it more open so that there is more investments flowing into the country, more money movement, so that the economy grows faster. So it depends on on how the regulators want to determine the economic policy of the country. Some case studies you can later look at. Ethis Malaysia is basically they're doing equity crowdfunding, licensed with Securities Commission Malaysia. There's also Ethis Indonesia doing P2P crowdfunding, licensed in Indonesia. In Malaysia, there are a lot of others, but mostly they are doing dual Islamic and conventional. When it comes to regulations, just a quick note. So I was mentioning the regulatory requirements that they impose on crowdfunding, but if you look deeper, generally, overall in Islamic fintech, the regulations have some common areas to address. So first and foremost, whoever is raising funds or whoever is the beneficiary of the funds, there must be due diligence done on that. Then the funds must be in a trust account before it is being disbursed to the issuer or for the purpose it has been raised for. And if there is any conflict of interest, let's say if the crowdfunding platform itself has a share in the issuer, it has to be disclosed, properly disclosed with bold and readable, visible area. There will be some reporting requirements to the regulators on a monthly basis or annual basis. In Malaysia, every month the operators have to submit a report through the digital platform to Securities Commission Malaysia, and they have to key in all details of the investors, of the issuers, how much they have invested, how much has been raised, everything. And then annually also they have to submit a report like financial audit and everything of the operator company itself to the Securities Commission Malaysia. Initially, there was some restriction on the issuer types, but now even public limited companies are also allowed to raise funds, of course, with some limits and investment limits based on investor types. I already mentioned earlier. There are other requirements when it comes to money laundering. Of course, within the jurisdiction, every fund flow will be subject to their requirements, and crowdfunding and such fintech platforms are no different. When it comes to cyber security, this is based on the guideline of Securities Commission Malaysia, but I have seen more or less similar pattern in other jurisdictions as well. So overall, there is a requirement for governance, because when we talk about technology or fintech, definitely cyber governance must be there. So it will give the key responsibility to the board to have overall oversight, then also to the management to take actions, have policies in place. And then the measures, in terms of measures, there has to be some measures for prevention, some for detection, and some for recovery. So the preventive measures will ensure that there is regular assessment, there is proper backup. So if the website goes down, if the system goes down, we can easily recover. Or there should be some antivirus management or vulnerability management as well. In terms of detection, we need to have timely detection that, okay, the site has been hacked, the system has been hacked, because sometimes, actually not sometimes, in many cases, even the detection happens long after the site was actually hacked, the system was actually hacked. This could be for many reasons. Maybe because the hack was very hidden into the course, not properly noticed. Or maybe the hack was there, but the people who are working, they did not want to disclose to the higher management, to the upper management. But that is disastrous, because that could lead to loss of data, loss of money, loss of reputation, or a lot of things. So basically, there has to be clear policies how to communicate to the management, to the media, to the government, to the regulator, and a lot of things. And last but not least, how to recover. What are the measures? What are the business continuity plan, etc., etc., etc. So those are basically, in general, what I have seen in terms of regulatory requirements that are being put. I have brought from Malaysia, but in general, in my research, I have seen more or less the pattern is somewhat similar. Right. So, lastly, I would like to just mention a few things. Maybe I will touch blockchain quickly. We know about blockchain. It basically gives some key good features in terms of having provenance, traceability, where and how the transactions happen from home to home to home to home. We also see immutability and finality. So because once the data is entered, it is validated, it cannot be removed, it cannot be amended unless and until the entire chain or the consensus mechanism also agrees with the change, which is quite impossible in Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, and many other standard blockchain frameworks. So with that things in place, we can use it for many cases. But unfortunately, until today, the most use case we have seen is for cryptocurrencies. And for cryptocurrencies and also some initial crypto offering, which is like an alternative for IPO. In other words, to raise funds for startups. And I have seen many scams, and many of which also are covered through nationals, through dailies. Very recent ones. The recent one was FTX. I'm sure you all have known about it. And the collapse happened due to loss of integrity by the founders, and that usually happens. Why? Because there is no clear or sufficient regulation, and so much innovation happening in this space. Very difficult, and that's why we will see even the Sharia scholars. Some are very conservative. They will just say investment or purchasing cryptocurrency is haram. Some will be very lenient and say it's halal, and some will be playing in between, which I do as well. Like I will say, it depends. Where are you trading? Which which crypto you are trading and how you are trading. So then only I can provide the ruling. Otherwise, I have to be silent. So before this is about blockchain and robo advisory or artificial intelligence. I already mentioned this is how it works. We have investors in the front end, and here we have the back end, entire back end. So investors come into the platform. There is a security layer. They have to log in. They have to put their codes and everything. Then they will be asked some questions. Based on that, there will be a persona generation. They will be asked to provide the investment goal and risk profile. And finally, they will be agreeing on a portfolio. And once this agreement happens, and then the system, it will automatically create this portfolio, and it will allocate the investment. And if balancing needed, rebalancing needed, it will also rebalance. Right. So that's how the robo advisory works. My last slide for today would be on the Sharia aspect, because my core expertise is on Sharia. When it comes to Islamic fintech, and not only Islamic fintech, any Islamic financial services, one of the very key requirement is Sharia governance, to ensure that the things done or proclaimed as Islamic are really Islamic. So there are methods in place when it comes to banking, well-known or well-established governance frameworks globally by IOFI, by IFSB, by Bank Negara Malaysia, and almost everywhere. But when it comes to fintech, because it's a new segment of the industry, we have seen a lot of lack of Sharia governance in the industry. Right? As I was showing the list of Islamic fintech from IFN Fintech website, if you go to their website, many of them, they don't have any Sharia advisor, any Sharia committee. The question is how they ensure Sharia compliance. It's very difficult because they just claim, but they don't have any action, any policy or anything in place. So that's a very critical point, especially for Muslims. And I was involved in a governance standard which was just issued by IOFI on Islamic crowdfunding. So there it was. We tackled basically this the critical points or the risky areas for Sharia. So in general, basically, there's the Islamic fintech. They also need to have at least one Sharia advisor. The Sharia advisor needs to approve the products, the business, the operations of the crowdfunding operator. If it's a long-term investment like equity or something, they also need to ensure that the investment is halal throughout the investment tenure. So those are the very basic requirements. In terms of disclosure, there should be proper disclosure of the Islamic aspects, like how do you know this is halal? There could be some approval or could be some methodology, etc. So those are in general few things which all Islamic fintechs or fintechs who claim to be Islamic, they must have in place to ensure that the commitment that they have made to the market are taken care of. Right, so with that, I will end my session today. Just to wrap up, I tried to give an overview of what Islamic fintech is all about. And we have gone through some of the prominent segments of Islamic fintech from IFN Fintech's website. We have also gone through some of the key areas in Malaysia in contrast to Islamic fintech. We have also discussed about Islamic crowdfunding, blockchain, and robo-advisory briefly, while I mentioned some regulatory requirements when it comes to Islamic fintech and cyber security requirements that regulators are concerned of. And finally, I also shed some light on Sharia aspects or Sharia governance aspects of Islamic fintech. So with that, I hope I tried to give an overall overview in a very compact way. But that's a beginning. Definitely, if you want to know more, there are hundreds of resources you can look into. Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khairan. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mufti, for a wonderful session. Before moving forward, we have a small neighborhood break and tea is served. Please to enjoy.
ఆకుంటే మనకొచ్చం ఎరుకుల్లం వచ్చి కొంచెం ఊరుందా faculty admin staff in the